Greeting, Internet, and well met fellow Earth dwellers and middle class Americans. Welcome to the Average American Podcast. I am your host, Chip Michaels, and I am incredibly glad you decided to hang out with me today. Well, last week we established that our first president, George Washington, had literal cinematic plot armor. The man was a walking cheat code. But today, we're moving down the timeline to our seventh president, Andrew Jackson. Now, love him or hate him, historically, Old Hickory was a completely different breed of stubborn. This guy, who fought anywhere between 13 and 100 duels in his life, he actually lived most of his adult life with a musket ball literally lodged in his chest right next to his heart because he refused to let doctors take it out. He was basically a walking iron skillet wrapped in a suit. And on January 30th, 1835, the universe decided to test exactly how tough he was. Jackson is leaving a congressional funeral at the U.S. Capitol. It's a miserable, foggy, damp day, and as he's walking through the rotunda, an unemployed house painter named Richard Lawrence, a bastard with two first names, steps out from behind a pillar. Now, Richard Lawrence was not playing with a full deck of cards. He genuinely believed he was the frickin' King Richard III of England, and he thought the U.S. government owed him money. So he decided to take matters into his own hands. He pulls out a flintlock pistol, steps right up to Andrew Jackson. We're like talking point blank range here, like just a few feet away. He pulls the trigger. Snap! The cap fires, but the gunpowder fails to ignite. Now, if you're an assassin and your gun jams at point-blank range, standard protocol is to run away, right? No, not Richard. Richard drops the first gun, reaches into his coat, pulls out a second, fully loaded flintlock pistol, aims it directly at Jackson's chest, and pulls the trigger again. Snap! Another misfire. Two completely different flintlock, and they're perfectly manufactured firearms jammed back to back. And so you can imagine that maybe the two pistols didn't work, but Andrew Jackson sure did. So he proceeded to beat the living dog shit out of this would-be King of England. Luckily, there was a congressman there by the name of Davy Crockett, that's right, King of the Wild Frontier, who manages to rescue our would-be king from the grips of Old Hickory, beating the doggeth shitteth out of the man. So just to sum it up a little bit, let's take a look at some of the chances of this happening, right? So as you can see, getting struck by lightning, 1 in 15,000. Right? Finding a four-leaf clover is 1 in 10,000. And then you've got two consecutive pistols misfiring in 1835, a 1 in 125,000. I mean, so later on, the police literally took both of these exact pistols outside, loaded them with the exact same powder, and they fired flawlessly on the very first try. Historians think that the reason why that this actually even happened was because of the muggy, damp day. And somehow water managed to get into the gunpowder and made it didn't work. So let's see. Well, then we kind of get to the little informational section here where we kind of want to talk a little bit about today. Well, stuff from then to today. One of the things that Andrew Jackson was renowned for was his use of the presidential power of veto. Up until Jackson, I believe the veto had only been used a handful of times. Jackson single-handedly vetoed 12 bills during his presidency. That's more than all of his predecessors combined. So he vetoed the recharter of the National Bank simply because he didn't like the guys that were running it. He vetoed highway funding bills because he thought the states should pay for their own dirt roads. Congress was absolutely furious. They started calling him King Andrew the First. They even formed a brand new political party, the Whigs, specifically to oppose him, named after the British party that fought against the monarchy. But Jackson didn't care. He argued that since the president is the only person elected by the entire country, the president represents the average American far better than an individual congressman. And that fundamentally changed the balance of power forever. Today, when a president threatens to veto a bill, it shapes the entire legislative process. It all started because one incredibly stubborn guy decided that the executive branch wasn't just a referee, it was a player on the field. So, as we wrap up episode 2, I want to leave you with this to chew on. The next time you find yourself in a situation where the odds feel like 1 in 125,000 against you, just channel your inner Jackson. Stand your ground, grab your metaphorical cane, and handle your business. And remember, our system of government is designed to handle big arguments. It was built by stubborn people, tested by chaotic events, and sustained by everyday citizens who aren't afraid to speak up. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Average American Podcast. If you loved hearing about the Bulletproof President, Davy Crockett Inventions, and the history of the veto, do me a huge favor and smash the subscribe button, and drop us a 5-star review, and tell a friend about the show. I am Chip Michaels. Keep questioning, keep laughing, and please try to stay out of any fights in the Capitol Rotunda. Good night, everyone.